I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like, to feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jo Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. Good morning, Amanda.
Hooray, it's a day for the podcast. Yay.
I feel different this morning. Even setting that up just then, I was like just double, triple checking that I had done everything right because it actually feels different. The space feels different this morning.
Yeah.
But we've got a guest that we love, and that's one of our champion guests who's been joining us from day dot.
We've spent some time with this lady.
We have, and we love her. We love her flow. We love everything about her. And she's going through her own shifts too, which will be lovely to talk about today. But welcome, Zhara Mahlstedt. Mahlstedt, is that? Mahlstedt to the podcast. Back again. We love you, Zhara. I'm calling you Lara.
I think we just call Zhara the light lady, keeper of the gateway into other portals.
I know for our regular listeners, as soon as she starts to talk into that light language talk that so beautifully do, people go, I already know who she is. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you both for having me here. It's always a pleasure and a joy to get in your space. It's expansive and brilliant and brings so much joy, I think, to your listeners and to everyone who's on the platform as well. So
It's been a while since we did our monthly gateways. We did it consistently for quite a long time, and there was so much shared in that space that was just true over I'll say dimensions for quite some time, how it just came through in different ways of beingness over the time that we shared those gateways, and what it activated, what it opened, what it gifted.
I think a lot of it at that time was very much in helping us stand up and rise as a population and as a people, and to actually be able to take back our voice, say no, where do we go from here? That's up to us to decide. And now it feels like we've shifted into these new timelines of abundance and openness, and it's available and accessible for each of us if we let go. And if we hit that surrender state.
Yes, let's go into that today, because that's Amanda and I have done our normal Wednesday morning walk before the potty, and we talked about that. This fear. There's layers of energy fields that we carry or pick up along the journey, right from being young people, and if we've been carrying those and playing in those for such a long time, they become our identity. We think that's who we are, and it's not until we have a moment where something cracks, and we go, oh. Okay, that felt different. What happened, Is that what you're talking about?
That's the surrender state right there, when you have that opening in that moment in time where everything just disappears.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one for all of us, because we're so used to it. It's inbuilt in the birth blueprint and the template itself when we come into this time space, into this dimensional plane. And so to let go of that frequency is really our life's work.
Yeah.
And because that's when you are able to embody that true essence of God as that force of creation, that universal abundance plane, so to speak, where everything just comes to you and is you at the same time.
Yeah.
So you no longer have to breathe into it, manifest it, make it appear, because you are it.
Yeah.
And that's frequency waves. So when those frequency waves all combine into one energetic state, then you, just by virtue of being alive, are this abundance template that just starts to take shape in your pillars, in your cells, in your alignments.
So when you're saying that, the visual I have is almost like a vibration, and then we start to vibrate at that same magical moment where now we're in complete alignment with our life force, our blueprint, what we've come here to do, and that's when everything opens up. Abundance starts to flow, life starts to flow, magic starts to happen. We start to get more in tune with who we are in the higher plane, like our gifts can come online, all of those things.
So you become the abundance of the universe that already is.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps us outside of that frequency is our holds on the past, our holds on what is, our holds on what's true.
Hold that.
Because
hold that. Let that sink in. Fuck, you have to say that again.
Okay.
Because that's really powerful.
You are not what you think. You are God incarnate. And that template does not arrive while you think you are something else.
Yes. That's, I think, where we're at right now on the planet.
So, like, say, for example, this is I'll say the leap between what has been and what has been trying to come through and what is available now with the awareness and alignment and the frequencies that are right here. Say the Australian bushflower essences, which are divine, and I totally adore them, and I've been working with them for years, and many other people have received their gifts. And homeopathics, that the whole premises of the bushflower essences is vibrational medicine, and their purpose is alignment of mind, body, spirit, ethereal body. So removing blocks, removing conditioning, removing trauma, removing fears, all these things. And so the vibrational essences of the plants is working with our soul essence. And what you're just talking about now is the quantum leap into the space where we are the vibrational essence. Is that
where no blocks actually exist?
Yeah.
And that's the quantum leap that I see humankind is ready to take, and we're all doing it in our own way. But if you know you are God in that universal plane, then literally fear that something holds you outside of it can't take shape. So it's that knowing, it's that vibration, it's that essence that has to come online for each one of us in our own time, in our own space. And then all the building blocks start to take shape for that pattern to actually appear in your cells, in your genetic structure, in your DNA.
So do you have to be aware of whatever it is that's holding you there to release it or not?
You need to be aware of nothing other than the fact
God
that you reshape matter with your thought.
Yeah.
And your point of attraction only comes from that.
Okay.
I'm having visions of, like, say, Temple of Doom or something like that, where they put the key into the block and all these things start dropping into place and the whole room reshapes around them and they're a totally different space. It's like
We've been so conditioned to fear and that something is not right, that we've held ourselves as a species and, like, literally in the genetic code away from this reality plane for so long, and we're coming back there at light speed. Like, we're literally warping there right now. But if the body, the being, and the conditioned mind say that that state is unachievable or unavoidable, that's where you actually get, it's like the static and the clutter and the chaos can build up, because that fear of letting go of the past and everything that we've been conditioned to believe. Let's just say it's not an easy transition place unless you get past the beliefs.
I was just going to say that, because the thing that's been coming out, and I'll be talk
transparent.
About me.
Yes, yes, let's do that.
Honey, thank you. Collecting my words for me. Is that I have been noticing these little fears, almost like the visual I have is like a thin layer of like I don't know, transparent, kind of like clear gluey stuff over me, right? And that I'm looking through this fear that I've been in probably my whole life, because it feels like me. And only recently I've had little experiences where it's been like, no, Joe, how about if you just drop that and trusted, kind of thing. And we know that. Like, I have it freaking tattooed on me, you know, trust and let go, surrender, blah, 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 blah. It's so much harder when you're in it. And when I hear you say about what you just said just then, I go straight away, it takes me back to that. Do I need to have the awareness of it to be able to break free of it. Because before I had the moment of actually seeing through that layer, I actually thought that I didn't have it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like that layer of identity. I see it as a gauze, that gauze.
Yes.
That's
a great word.
It's a gauze that wants to take shape.
Yes.
Because you were used to it in the womb, you were used to it at
Yes.
birth, you were used to it for your entire existence. That gauze that wants to take shape actually can't take shape anymore, so it's presenting.
Yeah.
It's being very transparent with you, if we will.
Yes.
And because that layer of identity is ready to be removed at its core, it's signaling to you, okay, it's time to see it. And once you see it, then you can break through. You don't necessarily need to see it to believe it.
Yes.
The belief is the only thing that you need to get yourself to the other side. But for many of us, that identity shift takes place with the recognition of what's there.
Yes.
And when we can recognize what's there, we're able to say, oh,
Yeah.
I choose something else.
Yeah.
So it's a big one.
And
so
the other,
it's like the goop and the cocoon.
Yes.
That's what I was getting when you're saying, and it's like that plasma that we were, talking about with yourself in the gateway a few times, like the plasma and things, and that's the goop and the cocoon, that transformation period. And when you said gauze, like it's like your beingness is communicating through that cellular change, isn't it, or the energetic shift.
But you're also seeing things differently. It's fucking crazy. Excuse my French, but it is. Like my whole world is shifting. Shifting.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing away a certain way for so long. And now I'm going, I can see how I've created things in my life because of that, the way I've played.
I hear you. I feel you. I know exactly what you're speaking about, because for myself on the real identity planes of existence, it's been a very similar journey for me.
Yeah.
And looking at where I've been playing in, and I'm going to say in the muck and the sand, because it's the real dense vibrations, right? And these vibrations that hold our identities and our memories and our traumas and our stored beliefs, etc. When they start to break down and you see that it's all this like fine mist and a fine veil rather than real form, it's so easy to shift, and it's so easy to let go of that identity state. But when we're ready for that rapid transition like we are right now, it's like that fine mist just dissolves and everything's just there.
Yes.
And when everything's just there, it's like, oh, you don't know what to make?
Yes.
Because you've never seen it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And the other side that I've been learning too, just another viewpoint about this whole thing, is that these energy fields or these veils or these gauzes or whatever are living entities that want us to stay there. They're alive. They're living. They're like negative fields of energy that want us to keep playing that way. They don't want us, and they'll do whatever they can to keep you playing there.
So do we want to go there? Because I can talk very plainly about this.
Let's go there.
Okay, so this is a big one for most people on the planet right now. You have got and I'll just see it as a soup. It's a quantum soup. It's a vibrational soup. But some of those lower vibrational energies and identities that will remain nameless, they want you to suffer.
Yes.
They want you to break down. Literally, okay? So you can arrive home. They're ready to walk through heaven's gates too. They're ready to be done with this system. But they don't know any other way to get you out and to get them out unless they trap you.
Oh, wow. The hairs on my arms are standing up.
So they're trapping you specifically so you can see your true purpose, see your true identity, to break through that veil, even though they are coming from, let's say, quote unquote, like a negative state.
Yeah.
Their mission is the same as yours.
Yes.
And so if you can relate with them from that space, they're going to help you transcend in such a huge way. And that's when we get out of the judgment game. We get out of the polarity, the opposites, right? The negative, positive, and the good, because we are all that.
Yes.
We are all that one.
Yes.
We all are that transition point, so to speak, in the multidimensional existence. or the parallel reality where you do sit as God, where you do sit as one, where you do sit as a vibrational essence as all. You cannot change the game and the way it's played unless you come to the understanding that the lower vibrations, the negative entities, however you want to call them, are actually working for you just as you are.
Yeah.
They're all working for you.
Yeah.
They're all working with you. They're all working as you. They may not have your highest good in mind, but that doesn't matter as long as you can see them as the same existence that you are. It doesn't mean you sit there and you let them attack. It's like, okay, oh great, thank you. You got the wake up, great. We can part ways.
Yes.
And there's a whole lot of there are a whole lot of identities in that space that know how to do that. But the most important part of this sequence that we get, so that we can arrive to that next playing field, so to speak, they're love too.
Yeah.
They're just further removed than you or I may be.
Yeah.
But in the big scheme of things, we're all that same vibration, is all that same essence.
And worthy of being recognized.
They don't want to stay in this trap.
Yeah.
They don't want to stay in this game. They want their identities back as well.
Wow.
I guess that's another program, isn't it, where we've been taught to recognize things as good or bad constantly, and separation, that same theme of separation in a different form, isn't it? Separating out from those entities and seeing them as separate from us, as opposed to we're all walking home, as you said before.
Everything that I've been shown, taught, seen in regards to the space, and I've been through some dark times as well, where I've seen them standing by my side doing everything they can to shut off my light. The one thing that I've seen in that space is that, you're just another version of me, and we're doing this together. I get it. It doesn't mean I don't play the game, and I don't. If you're in a soccer match, you play to win, right?
Yes.
But you walk off the field and you give the other player a hug.
Yes.
This is the real, like, I guess, a battlefield, if you will, that we're going through, is that, and to transition it, we can't call them names.
Yeah.
We have to see them for the true living light that they are. Because when we can see their living light, even if they may be eons removed from it, right? We can go through those gates.
I see them as the Mr. Smiths in the Matrix. Like the ones that are they're there, they're just trying to keep you in there. And they're doing all they can.
And they do a really good job. And it's funny you say that, because I have literally seen being show up through people just as Mr. Smith when it's when it's come to my identity, when I've been just very real, and I've been like, look at that. And that actually brings up the point that when someone or something is doing you harm, a loved one, for example, whether it's domestic violence, abuse, it's not really them in this form. They are being taken over, and that takeover is something that we do need to recognize if we are going to heal. Because or else we go into this abandonment state, and we go into the judgment, and we go into the name calling and the justice, and over and over and over. And not that that's not required in some spaces. I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying it's not important to say stop, because it is. But there is such an underlying level of violence that's occurring right now in the space that we have to see beyond it in order to get through it.
The underlying violence is a soup, and it's part of the soup still, isn't it? It's like putting too much chili into the soup, and you've got to keep the balance of the recipe right for it to be a good soup. So it's not like you want to keep inviting that violence to have a presence. It's recognizing it and allowing your energy to rise up in a way that's constructive to dissipating and dissolving the purpose of what that violence feels it has a purpose of being.
Not feeding it, basically. Not feeding it. It's being able to be the observer of it and be not drawn into it, where whatever's happening, whatever it is in the negative, is trying to draw you back in.
So in that nature, what is a practice then to, like, obviously leaving a domestic violence situation has many difficulties, challenges in itself, but as the optimal outcome, and so many things that need to follow on from that. But say that reflection in yourself that you're seeing of the entity or the energy field, or where is the space to work with that?
You have to make peace with it. So yes, you have to say no. You have to leave. You have to do all the very practical things for these energy lines to disrupt. But overall, you have to forgive. When we find forgiveness, it's when we find the truth, and it's not even forgiveness for the other, it's forgiveness for the self.
Yeah.
And when we find that eternal light within that frequency band, because it's not just an action or a thought, it's actually a frequency band that we embody, that's when we let go. That's when the chains come unattached. That's when the situation can resolve. But the situation can't resolve if we're still holding on to the words that come are like to arms, to guns, to okay, I'm going to get them back. I'm going to have revenge, right?
Yeah.
It's that energy that will break us or make us.
Yes.
So there's a very real place for in purpose. You know, people need to stand up. They need to take back their power, take back their might.
But laying down their arms at the same time, because again, it's a frequency of, you know, the energy is greater than the weapon, if you like put it that way.
Perfectly placed. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, because the situation can't resolve if you're still in fight.
Yeah. It's understanding, isn't it? The understanding for another, or the forgiveness for another, or forgiveness of self, what you were saying.
It's huge, and these are the frequency bands that we're approaching now.
Yeah.
And that's why the surrender state is key, because it's actually that surrender in the nervous system, in the blood, in the cells, like literally in the physical presence of the self, that can lead you to that next step. And without that next step, then you don't actually realize and incarnate as that full God presence. And when I talk about that full God presence, what's been shown to me is just very clearly how we can master the laws of density, master the laws of gravity, and completely play this game a different way. And yes, they don't want you to stand up to that.
Yeah.
Because that's huge. That's game over. That's the ending. That's the ending of an era, right? Of control and dominion on the earth plane. And so while we can talk about this from any different space, like what's actually going on, you know, in reality, what are the, you know, the wars and what's being fought, right? The energy battles, etc.
The
Here,
politics.
all of it. There's so many levels to look at it. Like what's at stake is the human heart, and the human heart can transcend all. And so they know that. That's why there is a battle erupting here. And that's why it is a big one. And that's why it's important for all of us to literally step into our truth, surrender our arms, surrender our victim state, and rise in the full power of the beingness that we can be.
Yes. And this is what I've been listening to and hearing a lot around at the moment is the inner work. You know, a lot of people talking about the inner work, and it's the quietness and the stillness of going within and working through, or going through the battle, the inner battle, you know, and that if we can all do that, then that's what I'm thinking you're talking about. The power in that is massive when it's done, you know, collectively as well.
And I agree, I 100% agree with you. The inner work is where the stage is set, and then that will transcend to the external world. It doesn't mean we don't take external world measures, but before you go into fight, you go into fear. And before you go into fear, you disconnect from the soul's essence, from the soul's grace. So it's the reconnection point is everything, and that can be done in meditation, in song, through dance, through joy, through love.
Nature.
Yes, of course. That's the, you know, bathing in those streams and those rivers and the oceans, etc. But there's still a very real fear point that we can connect to in this field of existence, and we actually have to pretend that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing of all, because yes, you could see financial collapse, you could see a marriage breakdown, whatever it might be, and that brings up fear.
Yeah.
but if we can move to the point where we literally accept, okay, this is the worst it can come, and sit with that and be okay with that, then we can transcend that.
Yeah.
But it's the worst that we fear the most.
And what is the worst? Like if someone said to you, what would be the worst case scenario? I don't know. What would
you
I
die.
don't know. Yeah, you die. Yeah, I suppose at the end of it. But then, it's just death. We're going somewhere else. No,
And then,
it's
but
just
then
my
if you
viewpoint.
have that come up, then you kind of backtrack, reverse through all the things, then you realise there's actually lots of ways out along the way before that final outcome.
Oh, absolutely.
Or final, so it kind of gives you a sense of empowerment to go, well, actually, if that's the worst outcome, then I might as well try this. And I often think people who try to escape countries or places of war or whatever are prepared to die in the efforts of doing it, because they risk so much and leave everything to do it. But there's the goal of another life waiting for them, drawing them forward. And I guess this is kind of it's the similar thing, isn't it?
It's the suffering and the pain before death that we would rather avoid.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether we die or not, it's the suffering and the pain of that non-eternal state that it's like what we've all been running from for so long. And that energy, thanks, Meta, that energy of is what we're trying to escape from. But if we can dive into the depths of suffering, if we can literally use our surrender state there too, it's kind of like it pops, it breaks, the illusion breaks, the veil dissipates, because you're like, okay, I can be with this. I can be with the tears, the grief, the shame, the anger, whatever energy is coming up. As long as we can be with it without resisting it, we can change it. And it's because we get to know it, we understand it, we become it, rather than
and isn't that part of why we're here too? Why we chose this planet in particular to come here, is to have those experiences and that contrast and that, to feel every emotion that we possibly can. And, I've heard so many different people talk about this, that Earth is the only planet where you get to feel all of these emotions and completely, sink into them and experience
Eat ice
them.
cream and chocolate.
Yeah, all of them. There's that. That's why we're the lucky ones, because we came here to have that experience.
I think it depends who you talk to. I think yes, absolutely. In one respect, we are here to experience the pleasure, pain, symptoms, so that we can transcend above it. And that's the rapid growth. That's the rapid ascent that so many of us as souls are looking for. And when we graduate this plane, when we really get the power of those energies combined, we can choose not to be here anymore and experience another dimension if we so like.
Yes.
Right. But it's like this world seems to be rapidly disappearing from the space that I sit in. We're literally not holding on to it as a shell anymore, and we're raising vibration so that we're transcending above the quantum soup, so to speak. And that is going to come in your voice. It's going to come in your thoughts. It's going to come in your presence with yourself. And and the energies and the words that you speak and you think are going to lead you exactly where you want to be.
It's funny because I was just telling Amanda about this wonderful video that I watched the other day of a young heroin addict who died. She had a near-death experience. Most incredible video. And she went up and she was with her higher selves, and they were going through like a supermarket, and she was picking off all the experiences that she was going to have. And she said, no, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to, like, there was trauma and, drug addiction and grieving and death. And was horrible. She said, no, please don't make me go back. I don't want to go back. I'm happy here, because she felt the first time she'd felt so, alive, but she was dead. And they said, okay, well, you can go back, and you'll go back as this child, this baby. And she saw the future life of this baby, and it was so far worse than what she'd already experienced. And she said, no, I'm not going to have that. And they said, but you haven't seen the rest of your life yet. And there was, love and laughter and joy and all these amazing things. And she said, oh, and they said, yeah, you've been through the worst of it, when you go back, keep going. And it was like, oh, and so she went back, and now she's this speaker, and like she was a full, like, lost both of her parents, watched them die of addiction. She became a heavy heroin addict, and she got, like, she's still only extremely young, but just so that whole visual was like, oh, she remembers choosing that life, but there was purpose in her choosing that experience before she got to the good stuff, and I'm not saying that we all go through that, but it's a kind of a bit like life, if you're having a hard time, you chose that too, and there's better to come.
And you can choose something different.
Yeah.
And that choice point, I think, is so much is what we forget about, especially if we're stuck in the stress of it and the fear. And the nervous system mimics that, right?
Yeah.
The energy of the thoughts. So if we can start to clean up the thoughts and that vibrational aspect first, we can actually clean up our life really quickly. And like you were saying about this woman, it's very clear to me that, okay, like heroin addicts, drug addicts, all of these different, I look at them as like real, most of them are starseeds. They're mostly transplants, right?
Yeah.
They're not here of earthly identity.
Yeah.
They're here to really get their power back.
Yeah.
Really take on life, really transition rapidly and well. And so if they have that perspective on why they're going through that fight, right, with addiction and with violence and with drugs, it's massive for them. Yeah. They can get out so quickly. It's literally just like a flick of the switch, because it's like their internal grid work comes on. They're like, oh, right, I'm not here to suffer. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to transcend it all. Yeah. And then they have an easier time to manage the energy that goes through their heads and cycles with their thoughts, because a lot of those energies that are coming with that addiction aren't based in love. Yes. Right? They're not. They're based in silence, fear, and all those tugs that those other energy streams that we were talking about earlier can use to pull you down. Yeah. So I think that's it's a brilliant story, and that one should be shouted from the rooftops, because I think people need to hear that. Yeah. In such a big way.
Yeah. And also what you just shared then, because I mean that turns it all on its head as a way of observing it, of non-judgment, but also the person experiencing that particular journey, which there's so many, through so many different pathways. To hear that and feel that love and that light, that really just what you just shared then really activates just such a beautiful of unconditional love and being seen and being held, and it's all possible.
And they're not worthless, and that's I think if you're talking to any addict, worthlessness is a big energy. Shame, that guilt, all of that will shine through in whether that's, and to be honest with you, whether that's an addict, someone who's hooked on alcohol or drugs, or someone who's literally hooked on violence in their head. The thought, it's the same pattern of worthlessness, and that worthlessness energy, it feels like it's transitioning in a big way now, because you can rapidly have thoughts that change trajectory and change course, and then solutions pop in. Well,
that goes back to what we were talking about at the start. Hey, we start to align more with the vibration that we are. So the lessons are coming faster.
Fast.
Yeah.
We have to know the thoughts are not ours. Yeah. We're being injected with them daily. Yeah. Okay. And they're very...
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So they're very real streams of energy and consciousness that are transplanted upon us rather than being of us.
So are these being created by AI? What are they being created by a higher source, by a higher power?
Let's just say nefarious forces.
Yep.
Okay, keeping it really loose. Yep. Nefarious forces that want to keep you trapped or want to keep you down. They don't want to see the evolution of the human race, because they're in it for something greater as well, right?
So we're talking like agenda. Some of these streams can be through TV, television shows, movies, lots of different avenues.
Electronic fields is where they really hook into. Yeah. Okay. and again, we don't want to see them as bad. I'm very I'm not hesitant, but I'm very aware of how we speak about this.
Yes.
Because yes, it's very real. And if we buy into it with love, where, oh, okay, great, you go your way, I'm going to go my way. If we buy into it with love, we're literally going to escape that trap and that matrix so quickly.
Yeah.
But if we buy into it,
it's where you're putting your energy in the space that adds to or takes away from the outcome.
Yeah.
So you can either add to the manipulation and control with your energy as well, or you can choose to be consciously adding your energy in a way that is disempowering it and negating it, but it's still allowing the purpose of it, which is communication, connection, awareness through channels that, because the technology that is here now is not the technology we're going to have in a year or even 10 years' time. It has to transition. It has to change. There's so much waiting in that space. But it's very, I'll say, manipulatable at this point, isn't it?
Technology in itself is not bad. AI is not bad. It's how it's used, right? And so there's so many ways to use technology as a force against humanity and as a force for humanity. So it's literally how you play the game. You can be a soccer player, go out in the field and be the best sport ever, or you can be someone who's throwing dirty punches. And we're not throwing dirty punches because we're based in love. There are people beings who are throwing more than dirty punches, right? And that's where we have to leave them behind rather than fight their fight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to be very aware that it's there.
Yeah.
Because when you're aware that it's there, you can step out. If you don't know you're in quicksand.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Or you don't know you're in a quantum soup. Then
so it's
harder
not
to
buying
evolve.
into the games that are being played. Like I'll give you an example. Let's look at the seeding of whatever's going on out there with our weather patterns. You can go right in there and get all feisty and fired up about it and, create a whole story around it and all of that. Or you can be aware and go, yep, okay, that's happening. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to let it affect me. Blah, 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 blah. Is that what you're talking about, those type of things?
Because that's another one.
Fabulous. No, but fabulous example. I'm so glad you brought this up because you can change the weather with your mind.
Yeah.
Excitement.
You can change the weather with your mind.
Yeah.
Each one of us can.
Yes.
We can look at these events and say, okay, no, we don't want to do this. Let's shift course. And that's where we're at as a species.
Yeah.
But we have to come out of the fear, right, before we can start broadcasting those thoughts that actually manipulate the weather back in our favor.
Yeah.
Back in the channels of hope, love, joy, all these abundant streams, right, in nature. And it actually, look, okay, let me start again. You are so powerful as a being of light that your very thought projects into time and space.
Yeah.
That thought can change a weather pattern instantly, as long as you believe it can.
Yes. So this is where these negative little entities that we were talking about earlier come in to make us feel like we're less powerful, so we can't. That's the game that's being played in every different way at the moment.
And the logical mind wants to say, but it's someone flying a plane doing this, it's a chemical in the air, this, what power have I got to change that, blah, blah, blah. But it's stepping outside of that little tiny box and going, we are not our thoughts, we are not this little meat suit only. I don't like it's one of my least favourite terms, but sometimes it's descriptive. Is it right? We are. There is alchemy.
So powerful,
within our very being that is
alchemy.
Possible.
We're the creator incarnate.
Yeah.
Born of the flesh, right? But in DNA, we have the same coding. We have to transition the material plane of existence before we can access it. When we transition the material plane of existence, we can access this coding and we can use it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Nothing is what appears to exist. Everything's encoded in flavor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. And we talk about synchronicities, and I've been doing the Course in Miracles. And there's one lesson that I've been on for, I reckon, about 10 weeks. And it's everything.
It's the same one, did you
everything
say?
in the world around me is meaningless.
Akunayanasya.
It's exactly what you're just talking about.
Music to my ears,
Yeah.
because if we give it weight, it has
Yeah.
density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have weight,
Yeah.
you can fly,
Yeah.
right? And that means you literally can just beam in and out wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
So this shift in energy that we're going through is exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing has meaning.
Yeah.
It's what we give it
Yes.
Yeah.
that takes hold.
Yes. That takes hold. Oh.
It takes hold, it manifests, it presents here in time and space.
Yeah.
So if we have, or I shouldn't say if, it's when enough of the creator consciousness beings are online
Yeah.
on this planet, that everything will just rapidly transition, rapidly shift.
That's
And
beautiful.
so we all go through it at our own time, at our own space. It's already a destiny that's done. It's not like we have to pressure it or rush. But we have to go through the stages of acceptance, grief, allowance, and really get to the bottom of, in the heart of existence for each of us.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about timing. It's all going to unfold beautifully. But it's like that presence with each energy that comes up
Yeah.
is where it takes shape.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I guess the word responsibility, self-responsibility to consciously contribute to that shift taking place by our daily actions, by our daily choices, by our daily thoughts, by our beliefs, by
All
our
of that.
connections.
Yeah, and all of that matters if you believe something is outside yourself. None of it matters if you believe the truth of the matter is going to be in your presence alone. So your presence alone has so much magnitude, has so much power. And if we can break through that suit that says anything that I do, anything that I think actually matters, we're going to find a whole other way of existence. And that's what I feel like you've felt lately, Joe.
Yeah.
Because yes, Amanda, yes, it does. Like, our choices matter to a certain degree. But when we stop giving meaning to even that, it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. Yes.
So yes and no all at the same time.
So where is the existence? And because this, I get everything that we're sharing in this moment, and where I go is just to that beautiful place where I'm sitting under a tree, and time is nothing. So where is the living in that space?
Can you bring that back into reality for yourself in your day-to-day life?
Yes. So that's where I sit in my daily choices of being that person under the tree all day, but doing the things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And when we say that, but at the same time, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like we're going through such a quantum shift in vibration right now that we can be anything or anyone. We can be any frequency, any vibration, and we can still have the same thing show up. It doesn't actually matter in the bigger scheme of things. Do you get that? It's like,
But this is, for me, this is like this is the quantum, that finite point where everything shifts and ascends into that that what you're describing as the nothingness, but the everything, but the steps we have to go through, and this is where to get to that point, and this is where our daily choices, our daily path creates that point of the Big Bang, if you like, to being in that everything that is nothingness, it is meaningless, it is everything. To happen, it's kind of like the humanness has the purpose of something, and what we're doing, what is that something? We're discovering that something to its ultimate purpose.
I'm confused.
presence itself with the presence itself with the choice
Yes. Yeah.
is all that matters. It's not the choice itself.
Yeah.
So if you make a choice that you then judge that doesn't serve your existence, you're back in the same trap.
Yeah.
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 Does that make sense? So it's like this fine line of energy in which we can choose anything can show up, and we can be okay with it. And when we're okay with it, that's when the shift occurs.
Yeah.
And then we step forward again, or we step.
We're here. We're not stepping anywhere.
No, I was going to
When
say,
I am Anastia, you are here in the present moment, present
just
time and space.
unfolding.
We're not moving anywhere. We're actually allowing time and space to collapse within.
Yes. Okay, good. That's what I was wanting.
I got there.
Yeah.
It's like that energy of presence.
That's a
is
zero
all that you
energy
need.
point that we were trying to, to come back to, that within ourselves, isn't it, almost? Of like, if not outside of ourselves, inside of ourselves.
It's always within.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
What I'm hearing too, just from an experience that I had a little while ago, is something was trying to be organised. And I'm just going to say this because it's very human, but very like the what was happening out there was magical. Is that there was all these things trying to organise themselves, and I was like, oh, like one thing got cancelled, another thing got cancelled, something a time got changed. And when I looked at it as a whole, it was like messy. But then when I let go, everything was working out perfectly. And I remember actually crying because I had the realization that the universe was literally just going, clogging, like ding, 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 to put things in the right place for me to just flow into. And it was only in the surrender that I noticed what was occurring. But before that, I was trying to control it, and it wasn't working.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway is that control pattern. As long as we're able to release the control pattern that's literally in ourselves, we're going to be on the right track.
Yeah. So it's the less
do,
the less do, the less do, the more we're just, and it's right back to the start of the conversation. It's we start to align and vibrate, and then the universe, we literally just let go, and the universe says, I got you. And it just ding, 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 like Santa and the elves going to work, and everything's just aligning perfectly. And then the next thing is unfolding. We may not even know what that is, but it's already unfolding. It's already happening.
And that's what I'm saying, like with the daily actions, the daily choices, like in the allowing the cogs to turn without trying to control, because this is what you think the day is meant to be shaped like. That's the magic of being in that consciousness of being, isn't it? Where we're in ourselves, but we're a part of the energy field itself in a true essence, as opposed to a construct or a machine, ourselves as a machine driving something,
We are just that presence of we are the presence of whatever energy we create. Whatever energy we create comes from our mind. What do you want to create from your mind?
So even our thoughts are having an effect on the outcome or what's ahead for us. So we have to be conscious even of always what we're thinking, not just what we're speaking.
Unfortunately, yes, that is a truth we can't get around on this planet. That's how we manifest matter.
Because we're getting up in the morning to do things and be. So being conscious, mindful, self-aware, engaged in love, stepping forward, not stepping forward, being, this is the get up and do the dishes, but doing it in a energy, the energetic consciousness of what you're actually engaging with and why you're doing it and what the outcome is. This is the whole, we talked about this, the chopping wood, carrying water, didn't we, in the gateway? It's that whole mindfulness of every action. Like, it's the physical world, the etheric world, the emotional bodies. This is the overlaying of all the things in this human existence, of how we're existing, isn't it? And where we're going and where we're being.
And each overlay has importance, right? To a certain degree. I think that when we find the I am presence, none of it matters, and that I am presence can be uttered with words. I am the I am, the I am, konayamana sutto konayana. And when we embody that, when we embody that grace in that energy state, regardless if we're angry, upset, crying with tears of grief or guilt or shame, or joyful, expansive when we're chopping wood, carrying water, it's all going to be the same. None of it matters in the long run because you're experiencing that expression as love itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They are all the same vibration of love. And that's that existence where some people refer to it as a void or as a 0 point, or as the energy center of everything coming into one. And that oneness, that wholeness, that carries us through existence, where chopping wood, carrying water can be whatever we allow it to be. And as long as we accept it, that chopping wood, carrying water is going to lead us exactly back to that 0 point, exactly back to that heart and that essence of wholeness, regardless of what we think. I know we're dancing around it to a certain degree, but the fact of the matter is you're already whole. Everything that you do, everything that you see, everything that you carry in this reality, regardless of how it feels, matters and doesn't matter at the same time. It's all what you give weight. So what you give weight to is going to be how you live your life. So if you live your life, if you give weight to the fact that emotions and energy exist, but they don't control my timeline, that's what's going to occur. Where so many of us in the spiritual space have been trying to control the emotions, control the thoughts, fix the underlying energy, fix that current, fix this, fix that. And that's great because we are in that, we do need to heal to a certain degree, but if we can allow that healing to occur at a rapid rate, where we can be with everything in the space, rather than resisting it, it's like that timeline shift happens right away.
I experienced with a friend recently doing some energy work, and she closes with, it is done, it is done, it is done. And the first time she said that, I was like, it's done. And it was done. It was absolute. And that's what I was getting when you were sharing that, is allowing it to be done.
There's nothing else to do. The vibration's whole. The vibration's here. The vibration is you. It is me. It is that oneness of creation already succinct. So as we go through our day-to-day lives, we can have this reality trap where we have to do better, or we have to be this,
has to be more, or even in the healing space, you could go and have a treatment or a healing session or whatever it is, and we want something to feel different, and it's like, that's not how it works. It's all in frequency and vibration and energy. And then sometimes we can have sessions with people where we actually walk away and we feel like something shifted, but sometimes we need the integration, and we need a little bit of stillness and time to let things settle and move into where they're supposed to move into.
And as long as we know that it exists, it's there. So as soon as we're willing to surrender to the fact that it is and it isn't all at the same time, it's when the transition takes place. That's a surrender state. And it's an energy that, and a vibration that can't necessarily be felt with words. It's like the quantum soup separates, and you're just standing there with vibrational fields on all sides, and you're just love, and you're just peace, and you're just that beautiful, brilliant bliss that we each are in identity. That's our sovereign identity. That's our sovereign field.
I feel like I've been having more of those moments, and it's only a moment, but it's a moment where I've just been in this space where everything just feels amazing. Like I just don't, I just say, I just love life right now. And I truly mean that. And it could be just a moment until the next thing happens, but I've been having more of those moments.
And acknowledging them and saying
Yeah,
thank you.
yes,
and-
yeah. Like looking up to the sky and just going, oh God, I just love this right now.
Yeah. I want to get really real because
Yeah.
I guess I want to just maybe give you an example of what I mean. So I've been going through these waves of consciousness over the past, 5 or 6 years, especially, where things are really good and really bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I feel so much love and joy and so much expanse for existence, yet there's something in my life that's dissolving or disappearing or erupting or just
great,
on
yes.
the human plane.
I'm hearing
So
you, yes.
Yeah.
for a long time it's been very hard to make peace with those certain items and agendas, right? And there comes a point in everyone's life, and it's just happened in mine, where I allow those things to occur. It's not right, it's not wrong, there's no charge. There is zero charge on the fact that exists.
Wow.
Beautiful, yeah.
And now this
Feeling
is
that in
good.
my
Keep going,
heart.
sorry.
That's where I've been trying to reach my entire life. And I know that. So I know that certain things have continued to play out. And for me, a lot around financially, specifically because I had to find a current where there was no resistance at all. And that was the healing in my life that was required. So now the energy can play out and the vibration can play out to transition matter. But the current of energy with our thought streams is what keeps that place of peace from existing. So I guess I bring it up because I just want to make sure I say life's not perfect, but you can feel that anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I love that.
And so what you're saying about these moments of expanse, even if you're going through the deepest, darkest time, and I've been through my own, I've been able to, be in that space, but still feel resistance in the field. I've only finally found, because you're still going, we're here, but we're still going through our human stuff, right? We can have all this consciousness expansion, but life is still
happening.
It's still presenting based on what's stored in our DNA. So that that point of remembrance for me, where the resistance ceased to exist, was when I knew. When I knew that I was God in my DNA, not in my head, but in my energy field, and it became complete. And that was a process I couldn't rush.
Yeah.
It was going to happen over time.
Yeah.
It was going to complete. There was going to be a finality with it. But for any of us who are going through these harder times, because I think it's occurring, for quite a lot of people out there, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can be both things. You can be... you can be love, you can be smiles, you can be hugs, you can be the grief, you can be the shame, you can be the anguish, you can be the guilt. But if you don't resist it, it's gonna melt away.
Yeah. Because those emotions are what anchor people into the thoughts. That's what I'm thinking of, because I'm hearing what you're saying, and and I've been exactly the same way. The polarity is crazy in the feelings of incredible highs, and then there's this really big thing over here that's just like pain, but it's the fight of the emotions which the thoughts tell you should have for that pain because you're human, and then the feeling of, but I'm okay with that.
None of that energy exists. We make it exist based on our judgment. And our thoughts about our own worth because of what happened.
Yeah, and that's the inner work too. It's like not listening to what people tell you should be feeling, or that society tells you, or that it should be that way. It's like that's when you got to go in and go, okay, what am I feeling inside of me that's going to allow me to love
what's happening.
like from a pure place of allowance and expansion and integrity. I mean, that word's not really right, but it's like doing it right. Truth, yeah.
Without resistance.
Yeah, without resistance
to what's actually occurred.
Yeah.
Because when we let go of the resistance to what's occurred, then we can create, the universe can create the change.
Create space, doesn't it, straight away?
Yeah. It's change.
So from that beautiful little poignant moment, diving back into what you were sharing before about the coding in our DNA, is that part of, like, say for example, like when we are choosing to reincarnate, choosing as a soul essence, choosing to experience the earth plane, part of the blueprint?
I see it as the birth blueprint and the birth template, and that's laden with fear, mistrust, denial, grief, shame. All of these energy centers that we've come to experience as one, but it's been the perspective and the overlay that's been placed on that it's wrong. Yeah, because it doesn't feel good. Yeah, that's what we have to come to terms with. In a lot of the session work that I've been doing lately, it's very much those overlays are being removed completely, and the full transition from the human form into the Christed being is coming to completion. So I see a lot of people ready for that, a lot of people moving into that. And actually, I'll share something that a client said to me yesterday after a session that was the previous day, that he could see this, like everything had shifted in his world, but he could see this line. It was like an interdimensional line, and he was about to cross over it, but there were all these dark forces, all these forces just saying no, that wanted to hold them back. And so when he shared that, because that is the plane of existence that they don't want you to see, because when you see that
potential,
the reality field that we are, that's when we change the game, and the game is expiring. So everyone, like that person in particular, will get there really fast. You'll get there really fast. You'll get there really fast. I'll get there really fast. We're all transitioning into that divine creative essence now as we speak. And that is the ending of a game that's been going on for so long. On this planet, on this earth plane. And so as we come to completion with it, there are certain tasks that we each need to perform. Heal the heart, forgive, let go of resistance, surrender, and just literally be okay with what we've created, what we've each created in the space, and what we've created as a society as a whole. But but just back to my personal experiences, I'm able to treat them all with love, where before it was like, the guilt and the shame. How could I let this happen? Wow. What? WTF? How could I let this occur? And, and you go through your growth as a person and how to unravel that. And that's, I think, many podcasts you have addressed these types of issues, and energies, but we're all walking each other home. And when we really get that to the core of our being, there's no blame, there's no judgment, there's no criticism. We're just like, okay.
The more I lean into this space myself after the recent years of polarities, the lighter I feel in my beingness, the lighter I feel in my physical body, and I'll say like hereditary potentials that were manifesting in my body leaving, and my body being more responsive to what I feel my body to be for me in this life. And it's sort of going back to when I was a child and in my body, and how that felt, to being free in my body now, and the relationship that I have with my body, which feels really beautiful, and less weighed down, which that word weight has been carrying a lot of presence in the conversation today. And I remember hearing, I think it was Tim Burton, a movie producer, sharing around his experiences with his depression, and saying that he learnt to recognise that it was on the horizon, and instead of going into control and fear and medications and things, he welcomed it, he called it in, and allowed it to come through him be present and roll away again. And he said that's when he really started to see himself in quite a different way, and everything started to change. And I think what you're sharing for me today has been a lot around that, is allowing things to be present, but having communication, having dialogue, having interaction with it, as opposed to being fearful of it and pushing it away, or trying to control it through medications and things like that, or control it in any way. And recognising it, as you say, whether it's self or an entity which is self, or an entity which is the dark forces, which is part of this game of preventing any of us walking home. That's the quantum speeding up of everything, isn't it? Because then it's like sitting at the table with each other and going, well, hi, I see you. And it's like, oh, you see me? Oh, okay. Well, then there's shift and change automatically.
It's a beautiful example, because it's just letting the wave pass through, the current pass through, without resisting it or identifying with it. And that is the beauty of depression, is that it's just another energy field, an energy force. But while we pretend that it is us, or it exists, it will exist within us, but it's not us.
Yeah.
Depression, suicidal thoughts, suicidal tendencies, addictions, all of these are energy currents outside of our control that manipulate our being.
Yeah.
And we either welcome it in, with our resistant thoughts, or we can allow it to pass through. Like, was it Tim Burton? You said it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and it's a new way to treat anxiety as well, right? You just
welcome it in,
give it a hug, allow it to be, allow yourself to melt into the space with it. Don't judge it, don't disrupt it. See what it has to teach.
Don't keep being busy.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like an hour and 10, nearly. It's just flown by. I just wanted to add one thing too, because I thought this was something powerful that I had a conversation with the other day with a very close family member, and they were just asking questions about, this person and that person, and I just said, just look at each person that comes to you with something that triggers you or whatever as the universe. Just the loving universe is coming through a person to say, you just need to learn this lesson. As I'm saying it, I'm listening to myself say it, go, yeah, I could really listen to that. Take that on.
Thank you for asking.
But, I just felt like it was a great analogy to think of each person that comes to you that triggers you or that has some kind of effect, to look at that as the universe either guiding you in a different direction or getting you to look at something, or that take the person out of the picture, and look at it as the universe, that each person has a universe inside of them. It's guiding you in some way.
I always see it as a reflection of the self, right? So, and that's why,
sometimes that can be confronting though.
if we don't get to that understanding that they're just mirroring back what we need to see, we're still going to judge it. But so everyone who comes into my field, that there's any type of thought or pain or whatever, it's like, oh, thank you. Okay, that's what I needed to see, right? And even with my daughter, Joe knows my daughter quite well, and even with Tavs last night, we were having a conversation, and she was like, Mom, I don't like you. I was like, okay, great. Can we talk about all of it right now?
Yeah.
In the perspective shift that I had just listening to all of her experiences and her pain.
Yeah.
Kids made me see things in quite a different way, because while I thought I was doing a good job, I wasn't in many respects. And, and this takes place after a lifetime of stress, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's that ability to hear each other out and to really see what the other person sees that's going to change things for us.
Absolutely.
I hear you 100% when you're sharing that, because sometimes we don't have the opportunity to well, tell me when people are holding it and don't share it. There's no opportunity for self-reflection, self-awareness of the impact that your presence makes, because you feel that you're acting out of your best, heartfelt choices for other people. But sometimes you're just digging the hole even deeper, and there's no if the communication and the interaction isn't there, but it needs to be those safe places, those safe spaces for that, and those little moments where the opportunity is to meet each other and share. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that can happen in any relationship, is to actually have conversation and allow being heard. And I know I haven't done that enough myself in the past, and missed opportunities to hear people when they've wanted to share or haven't known how to share. Sometimes we miss those little moments, don't we, as micro moments.
It's huge, it's massive. And I know with my daughter, it was very much, yep, got it. I was really controlling. I was really doing, I think I'm doing my best for her. And everything was control. Yeah. It was control. And it was controlling her environment, controlling what she saw, ate. You know what I mean?
It's wild, isn't it?
And that is a perspective shift.
Yeah.
I think
I've been
having
a lot of those too with my kids. Yeah. Absolutely. It's really getting off your own
bless those universes they bring to us.
Absolutely. it is because that's the way through, isn't it? Is being able to see everyone's perspective, everyone's viewpoint. That's how we grow and learn and drop these layers, these gauzes that we've been walking around in. That's what I've been getting massive lessons through my kids.
Great reflectors.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Zhara.
Thank you both too.
Yeah, it's been really, really, really beautiful.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
You're amazing. And I hope that helps the listeners just to drop the judgment, drop the control, really allow those eternal light streams in, because those eternal light streams are what's going to lift us to this next plane. But we're still dealing with the human identity and all these outside controlling forces, but it doesn't matter. They're here for our highest good.
Yeah.
And that perspective is what will make the shift.
Yay. So we'll drop, as we always do, links for what you're doing in this world, universe. But you've started doing monthly meetings if you're local to the Gold Coast, Northern Rivers area.
I have. Thank you. In Tugan at Tom Atkin Hall, we're just doing a monthly workshop on healing the heart. Essentially, it's called the Heart's Portal, and it's basically a channeled space where people come in with they bring their questions, what's going on in life, where they're still stuck, and how to help them shift through that. Yep. So it's the perspective shift that will really change the world. So that's what we do in the space. Other things seem to come up, right? And we're there's a lot of heart healing involved just there. But the community connection has been beautiful as well. So if anyone feels that space, come along. We all have a lot to learn and share with each other.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. We'll definitely pop that link on the bottom of the show notes. So if you're interested, you can go on down.
And the one other thing that I'm doing that I'd love to share is the Infinite Creator Calls. I'm running them 3 weeks, so it's 3 mornings a week. If you were Brisbane based, it's 6:30 in the morning. 30 minutes 3 times a week for 3 weeks, and essentially we just get to the heart of creation. So we shift all the energy in the field, that what's coming up for people around thoughts, emotional dynamics, and move back into that essential creative plane where we all exist as one. So they've been really powerful. They bring me a lot of shifts as well. But next one starts on the 28th of April, and then after that, I don't know, you'd have to look at the schedule on the website. But that might be after when the show's published. Or before when the show's published.
Amazing. Creating the vibrational shift.
Yes.
We're bridging the gap of where we're at and where we want to be, and just doing it in a really safe space and moving through those energy dynamics quite well.
That's really cool.
Thank you, Zhara.
Yay,
thank you both. Thank you.
She comes in my dreams.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.